If he doesn't put you in jail, wonderful. Nobody with any sense wants to go to jail. But if he puts you in jail, you go in that jail and transform it from a dungeon of shame to a haven of freedom and human dignity. This is without a doubt my favorite quote by the late Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It also deeply informs my research, which examines the theological underpinnings and the ethical framings of mass incarceration as it pertains to Black women. Interestingly, as we think about the sermons, speeches, and writings of Dr. King, these words are not a popular citation, and yet King is recorded as reiterating variations of these words on several occasions. In fact, at a 10-hour meeting with the Real Estate Board of the City of Chicago on August 17, 1966, King cites these words and adds, quote, "I've been to jail in Alabama. I've been to jail in Florida. I've been to jail in Georgia. I've been to jail in Mississippi. I've been to jail in Virginia, and I am willing to go to jail in Chicago. All I'm saying, friends, is very simple. We sing a song in the movement, ain't gonna let nobody turn us around," end quote. And as I think about King's directives for our current times in an age of mass incarceration, as I contemplate his moral framings of resistance in our context of a perennial problem in the 21st century, as I consider the pervasiveness of racialized punishment and the proliferations of prisons, I think about the frequency in which King speaks about incarceration. I think about his close proximity to criminality and his freedom work that included transforming jail cells from dungeons of shames to havens of freedom and human dignity. These contemplations prompt a relevant question for liberation today. How do we collectively embrace our inner conviction to not let anyone, anything, and especially not carcerality, to turn us around? How do we move from carceral dungeons of shame to havens of freedom and human dignity? I think King would say that we must abolish prisons and dismantle the carceral state completely. And the church could have a pivotal role to make this a possibility, just as religious leaders did this with leading the civil rights movement. Moreover, I think as an addendum to his Poor People's Campaign, King would highlight the criminalization of poverty and the immorality of a profitable prison industrial complex. In addition to King's vision of a world house, I think he would consider the inextricability of incarceration for subaltern people domestically and globally. And lastly, I think King would promote defiance in the tradition of civil disobedience to resist unjust laws and conditions that disproportionately criminalize Black and brown people. He would call us to a higher law, God's law, a law of love rooted in justice, a law of liberation. So as we continue King's work to end the triple oppressions of classism, racism, and militarism in an age of mass incarceration, we must fight relentlessly to not just transform jails, but to abolish them and build havens of freedom and human dignity for all.